To connect our action with the Trello API, we are going to use Retrofit and RxJava 2. You could potentially use coroutines, but I'm going to go with Rx to show a fundamental difference compared to Android development. The first thing that we are going to need is a retrofit service. We create a new Trello Service API interface and create the two methods that will communicate with the Trello API. First, a get method to fetch all the cars from a specific list. This method needs a list ID that will be passed in the path and two query parameters, one for the API key and another one for the token. This method will return a list of cars wrapped in a single. The second method will be used to move a car to a different list. This will be a put method and will require a car ID in the path as well as an ID list, API key, and token as query parameters. We will return a completable since we don't really care that much about what the API returns. With our service done, let's move to the Trello repository. Here, we will have to use the service we have just created to implement our two methods. We begin by changing the interface method so they match the services we have created. GetCars will now return a single with a list of cars and will require a list ID, API key, and token. MoveCar will return a completable and will require a car ID, list ID, API key, and a token. We can finally implement the two methods starting with GetCars. We use the Trello Service API, pass the parameters needed, and we will subscribe on the I/O scheduler. Now, here's the main difference with Android. If we were on an Android app, we will probably observe on the main thread. However, we're not writing an Android app, so we have to observe on the event dispatch thread. Luckily, we can add this library to our Gradle file, which provides a scheduler for the event dispatch thread. Be careful with the version that you import, because the latest version only works with RxJava 3. Now that we have imported this library, we can use the EDT swing scheduler, which stands for Event Dispatch Thread. We can now implement the MoveCar method using the same approach, and we are ready to move to the Trello injector class. Our repository needs a Trello Service API, so let's add it to the interface and provide one in the implementation. I'm not going to worry about performance here, so I will just create a new instance when needed. If you use Dagger or Coin to do dependency injection, you can easily provide this as a singleton. With the service created, we can now pass it into the Trello repository and can go to the presenter to implement it. Starting with load cards, we call the method getCards from the repository and subscribe to it. If the response is successful, we call the showCards method from the view and pass the list of cards obtained. If we receive an error, we call the error method from the view, passing the error to it. We follow the same approach with the MoveCar method and are almost ready to move to the view. But before, we need to create the parameters that we have to pass to the repository. These are the parameters that you will need to get from Trello in order to be able to use their API. For now, I'm just going to hardcode the values here and we will take care of them on the next lesson. In the Trello form, we will begin by implementing the showCars method. We loop through each car and add it to the combo box. If the list of cars received is not empty, we then select the first index in the combo box. For the success method, we first call the close method of the dialog wrapper to close the dialog, and then we will show a balloon notification with a success message. We use invoke later to pass control from a background thread to the event dispatch thread, because the notifications are UI tasks that have to run under the event dispatch thread. But we don't necessarily need this because we are already observing on the event dispatch thread. We repeat the same for the error message, but now using notification type.error and showing the error message received. To create the presenter, we will use bylazy and the Trello injector, which will provide us with an instance of it. We can now use the presenter in the init block and call load cards, so when the dialog is created, it will fetch all the cards for us. We will also add an action listener to the combo box, so it will automatically change the text in the description pane when a card is selected. We run the plugin now, but remember to use your real API key and token in the presenter before doing so. Our dialog now shows the cards in our Trello list and also the description, but the combo box is showing the whole card object rather than just the name. Also, we have not created the behavior for the OK button yet, so let's fix it. In the data class, we just have to override the toString method to return the name instead of the whole object. We move back to the Trello form and override the dialog wrapper method doOK action, which is executed when the user clicks the OK button. In this method, we have to fetch the car selected in the combo box, and if it's not null, we then call moveCar in the presenter passing the card object. We run the plugin again, and we can now see how we are only showing the names in the combo box. If we select one of the cards and click OK, it will be moved to the next column in Trello and also show a success notification.